"Put your arm around her," directed the reporter. Gwen thought about all the different winners who had been in this banquet room. The same lottery officials and photographers would show up for someone else next week. But this week, they were celebrating the Kaplans for the achievement of random good fortune. Still, Gwen knew that someone in the room, maybe many people, maybe most people, sensed that what the family deserved and what had happened were out of alignment. The lottery stories that people loved were both simpler and darker. Parents of an ill child in need of experimental medical treatment. The widower with the foreclosure notice nailed to his door. A waitress who picked the numbers based on her dead daughter's birthday. That was something to get behind. That deserved a lump in the throat. Theirs wasn't even a very dramatic amount, by certain standards, curtailed as it was just below the magic $10 million. It was enough money to attract only the one reporter from a community paper in their suburb, 70 minutes northwest of the city through traffic. A young man in a soiled dress shirt began collecting empty water bottles and half-eaten pieces of cake. Gwen searched his face for judgment, but he rattled the sticky gray plastic bin and left the room without looking back. And Gwen was relieved. The woman had asked her the wrong question. It's not, "Do you believe in luck?" but, "Have you ever been poor?" Gwen doubted that she would have answered honestly, because over there stood Maddie and Eli. She had shared the contours of her past with Seth, but he met Gwen later, when she had a low-paying job as a receptionist at a dentist's office. Regular poor, not street poor. But if Gwen were moved to truth, she would tell the reporter, "Once I sat on a street corner not far from here, holding out an empty coffee cup next to a sign handwritten in ballpoint pen, pregnant and hungry. And only the latter part of that was true." That was a long time ago. Gwen had arrived at the lottery offices in a minivan that she cleaned last week at a gas station, vacuuming up crumbs and scrubbing at the mysterious stain on the back seat. "Look what I've pieced together," Gwen imagined, staring the reporter in the eye and saying it loudly. "Look at this life of accidents, and tell me how to feel about luck." It took several minutes before the waiter appeared. He ran through the specials, gazing at a point in the distance, and poured the water so quickly that it sloshed over the rim of Gwen's glass. "We should have brought the big check," said Seth. "Then we'd get the big service." "Can I order the lobster?" asked Eli. "I don't think Dad wants you to get lobster," said Gwen. "Since when?" Seth said. Gwen looked through Seth's streaky glasses and said, "Never have I seen you want lobster or consider lobster or regret not getting it." "It's always too expensive, but not tonight." "Okay, I'm going to get it and eat its little claws," announced Eli. Gwen saw Seth's eyelids flutter. "Don't get it," she said. "It makes Dad uncomfortable. Get the steak." "Why no lobster again? I forget." "Because of God and the scuttling creatures at the bottom of the ocean," said Maddie. "I just want a salad." "I'll get the steak," said Eli. "Probably shouldn't eat what scuttles." Seth ordered a bottle of wine from the bottom half of the wine list, though not the very bottom. When he and Gwen clinked their glasses, she saw again that flash of terror in his eyes. But by the second bottle, her husband was slippery with glee. "So, what are your dreams for yourself?" Seth asked, poking at his grapefruit givré. Eli and Maddie looked up from their gelato. "Seth, that's an impossible question," said Gwen, but she liked that he had asked it. Someone who knew him less well might measure Seth's slow nods and long pauses and conclude that he was meek, but Gwen knew there was boldness in him where it mattered. At a party, Seth would glance around a room to see who was alone and make a beeline to provide comfort. Kindness moved him to action. "This isn't really that much money," Seth continued. Eli guffawed. "Yeah, right." "And Mom and I are going to discuss what to do with it in a responsible way. But there's a little room for dreaming. Don't think too hard, just answer the question. First thing that comes into your head. What's the dream you have that you can't make real without money?" Eli answered quickly.